John Edwards says his presidential campaign goes on strongly despite his announcement that his wife's cancer has returned. One of his chief fundraisers says he thinks donors will stick with the Democratic presidential candidate. But can Edwards really compete?
Well, political analyst Stephen Caliendo joins us now. He has some thoughts on that. And we're also going to touch on those new YouTube ads that we've been seeing a lot of. Good morning. Thank you for coming in.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So how do you think most people will react to Edwards continuing his campaign? Will there be some sympathy for him, or do you think some people might feel that he's not being sensitive enough to his wife?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think it remains to be seen. There's going to be a lot of folks who are really excited that he's continuing his campaign, and especially if Elizabeth is at his side during the campaign stops. That'll be important. On the other hand, there's going to be folks, the family value crowd, that says, is this really family values? How bad does he want to win the presidency that he's willing to not be with his family at that time? But if Elizabeth is on the campaign trail with him, certainly we can expect that folks might embrace that as something that the family decided together.
Let's talk about these YouTube ads. Both candidates say they are not directly responsible for them. The anti-Hillary ad that was put together for YouTube and the anti-Barack Obama. We have really entered a new age. I mean, we thought we saw some of this in 2004 with the Swift Boat campaign against John Kerry, but these independent guys have taken it to a whole new level.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it predates that, in fact. I mean, if we think about 20 years ago, we were talking about parties running ads on behalf of candidates. You remember the Willie Horton ad, which was not run by the Bush campaign, but by the Republican Party. And in the 1990s, we were talking about political action committees running ads on behalf of candidates, and then candidates being able to have plausible deniability that they were involved. In 2004, we started to see it more often with the 527 groups, and so what we're seeing here is it's the YouTube crowd, and it's once again this idea that candidates can't necessarily control the material, but they may be able to benefit if it's helpful.
Right, I was just going to ask, do they really help or hurt? They distance themselves, this person, we had nothing to do with it, but at the end of the day, does it help or hurt?
Well, we don't know for sure. Research hasn't shown whether it's helped or hurt, but one thing we do know is that while the candidates are happy to have the help without having to pay for it, and also able to maintain plausible deniability with regard to the content, the flip side of that is that they can't control the content. And so if there's things on there that they wish not to be there, there's nothing they can do. Now, of course, that's all assuming that everything's on the up and up and everything's legal. And of course, there's always going to be questions about how much the campaigns really were involved with that.
But the other factor, you correctly cited, the last 20 years of presidential campaigns. But the big difference now is that I can, with my computer at home, create a video and get it on the internet without paying a cent to television stations to put it on.
And it's not just the money, and you make a good point, too, about the television stations. One of the things we saw in 2000, we just showed the spots, right? I mean, we didn't show it with audio, but we just showed the spots. One of the things that happened in 2004 was campaigns would create spots, send them to media with no expectation ever that that the campaigns were going to pay for them to be run, but we'd show them. And so you get free, and so, it's not just who watches them on